Okay, time for a rant video, and it's in regards of the site Comicbookmovie. Now, as most people know, the Flash movie is coming out on June 16th, or I think in the UK they've bumped it down to the 14th. And now I've noticed in the last up and coming weeks that they seem to be posting negative articles in regards to the movie. Now, at first I thought it was just me, but they seem to be doing this intentionally. Now, they never seem to do this towards anything that's related to Marvel. And as I've said to people, you can go on their site and then check it out for yourself and see for yourself that if you scroll back through their timeline where it's everything that is completely negative, and the movie hasn't even come out yet. Now, obviously, it's been getting positive reviews, and at the end of the day, I mean, I'm hoping to see it, but at the end of the day, it's down to the individual person and what they think of the actual movie itself. So I'm not gonna take necessarily what everyone says of it. I'll just take it as a guideline. But as I said before, it's very, very, very strange how all of these negative articles seem to be coming out in regards to the movie, and they've done this before on other DC related movies. Obviously, when Blue Beetle comes out, I think in August, it's pretty obvious that they'll start putting up negative stuff like that, and as I said before, they're doing it intentionally. Now, the reason why I take this passionately is, as of all, being a comic book fan of both Marvel and DC. When you're seeing people's creating fanboy wars, I think it's kind of just for clicks and views and shilling. I just think it's kind of a bit disgraceful, biased and unprofessional. And what I find really funny is that they call themselves Comic Book Marvel when they're quite Comic Book Marvel. Jumping the gun there. They call themselves Comic Book Movie, where they should be focusing on both DC, Marvel, or anything that is comic book related. But they just promote Marvel and then just crap on anything that's related to DC. As I said before, Warner Brothers have had their own set of problems with their movies, and I've done a video on that, and I might actually be doing a more in-depth video in regards of where it's gone wrong for Warner Brothers in the past and where they'll show themselves in the future. Fingers crossed. But I would have more respect for Comic Book Movie if they just came out and said, you know what, right, we're just going to focus on Marvel related stuff because that's what we're going to do. That's what we intend to do. But instead, they sit there and pander across as if they're this kind of self-righteous site that focuses is solely on comic book related stuff, when quite clearly it's just anything that's Marvel, which are kind of bootlick and shill to, and anything that's DC, they're willing to sit there and wanted it to fail even before the movie even succeeds. I already know that. I've already got it. I'm optimistic in terms of the box office for The Flash. I'm again, with anything when it comes to movies, movie reviews, video games. When it comes to showcasing, like I said, what the PlayStation did with theirs, or even Xbox currently just done with theirs, and I think Nintendo will be doing their version of the Direct. I don't have high expectations or anything. That way, you're kind of not, disappointed in whether or not something's successful or not. But even I know I'm gearing myself up to the fact that the Flash isn't gonna make tons of money simply because of the fact that the media can be crapping on it. Already, we've got stuff with just the history with Ezra Miller, which is kind of fair enough if people don't want to see it because of his past stuff he's done, and I think that's totally justified in that. But we already know that what's going to happen is that they'll do the projected first 3 days. Comic book movie will sit there and slag off and say it's disappointing numbers. Then it will get to the second week where it will drop off, which all movies do, and then they'll sit there and start putting stories about how it's not making money, or it's not going to break even compared to so and so. Then Josh Wilden and Mark Cassidy will, especially Josh Wilden, will put out articles saying 6 things that worked, 6 things that didn't. Then they'll put out articles saying the DCU's doomed and James Gunn has got a huge task in his hand, and this is what they need to do, this is who they should bring in, which we all know that they're just doing for clickbait, which for me, as I said before, is very kind of disgraceful. But as I said before, it's very disappointing how you've got a site that calls themselves a comic book site, and they're quite clearly just solely focused on Marvel. And the thing that's even weird, I can even back up my evidence as to the articles that they write. You only have to look at the fact that it's only their site, their website, that's actually producing this negative DC articles that have been posted the last couple of days and the last few weeks. And I've checked other places, and it only seems to be them that seem to be focused on it. They're also going to, I know they're going to be very disappointed now, because the Spider-Verse sequel now has been knocked off the #1 spot by the new Transformers movie, Rise of the Beast. So I know that Comic Book Movie aren't going to be very happy. They did a similar thing where I think there was a Marvel film that was out. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Fast X Part 1 was coming out, and then they wanted Fast X to fail, simply because that they wanted more of the so that Guardians of the Galaxy would make would have a huger box office numbers, which it already has done, and it's already still continuing to be successful. To me, as I said before, with movies, is that there's room for everybody. And as I've thought, I can't stand shills, I can't stand fanboys either. And as I've said, I am the kind of guy where on my YouTube channel you're going to see, you will see professionalism, my own honest opinions about something. I'm not going to shill to any companies, and you will get my honest opinion on what I think of a product, or a review of a product, or a review of a movie, video game, or TV show. I certainly won't be shilling myself out, no matter how big, if I ever do, that I ever get, or if I even get sponsored by companies. I will not be doing this, shilling out. And it's kind of really disappointed with sites like Comic Book Movie, where they're doing stuff like this. As I've made jokes before, they may as well just call themselves Comic Book Marvel, because that's what they are, undivided shills, in my honest opinion.